Article 100 Definitions Part 2. Inverse time as applied to circuit breakers. A qualifying term indicating that there is purposely introduced a delay in the tripping action of the circuit breaker, which delay decreases as the magnitude of the current increases. Non-adjustable as applied to circuit breakers. A qualifying term indicating that the circuit breaker does not have any adjustment to alter the value of the current at which it will trip or the time required for its operation. Setting of circuit breakers. The value of current, time, or both, at which an adjustable circuit breaker is set to trip. Clothes closet. A non-habitable room or space intended primarily for storage of garments and apparel. CMP1 coaxial cable. A cylindrical assembly composed of a conductor centered inside a metallic tube or shield, separated by a dielectric material, and usually covered by an insulating jacket. CMP16 combustible dust. As applied to hazardous classified locate ions, dust particles that are 500 microns or smaller. Material passing a US number 35 standard sieve as defined in ASTM. Standard specification for woven wire test sieve cloth and present a fire or explosion hazard when dispersed and ignited in air. CMP14 informational note. See ASTM B12262012A. Standard test method for explosibility of dust clouds, or ISO 6184-1. Explosion Protection Systems Part 1. Determination of explosion indices of combustible dusts in air, for procedures for determining the explosibility of dusts. Combustible gas detection system as applied to hazardous classified locations. A protection technique utilizing stationary gas detectors in industrial establishments. CMP14 communications equipment. The electronic equipment that performs the telecommunications operations for the transmission of audio, video, and data, and includes power equipment, for example DC converters, inverters, and batteries, technical support equipment, for example computers, and conductors dedicated solely to the operation of the equipment. CMP16 communications raceway. An enclosed channel of non-metal LIC materials designed expressly for holding communications wires and cables. Control circuit. The circuit of a control apparatus or system that carries the electric signals directing the performance of the controller, but does not carry the main power current. CMP11 control drawing as applied to hazardous classified locate ions. A drawing or other document provided by the manufacturer of the intrinsically safe or associated apparatus, or of the non-incentive field wiring apparatus or associated non-incentive field wiring apparatus, that details the allowed interconnections between the intrinsically safe and associated apparatus, or between the non-incentive field wiring apparatus, or associated non-incentive field wiring apparatus. CMP14 controller. A device or group of devices that serves to govern, in some predetermined manner, the electric power delivered to the apparatus to which it is connected. CMP1 cooking unit, counter-mounted. A cooking appliance designed for mounting in on a counter and consisting of one or more heating elements, internal wiring, and built-in or mountable controls. CMP2 coordination. Selective coordination. Localization of an overcurrent condition to restrict outages to the circuit or equipment affected, accomplished by the selection and installation of overcurrent protective devices, and their ratings or settings for the full range of available overcurrents, from overload to the maximum available fault current, and for the full range of overcurrent protective device opening times associated with those overcurrents. CMP10 copper-clad aluminum conductors. Conductors drawn from a copper-clad aluminum rod, with the copper metallurgically bonded to an aluminum core, where the copper forms a minimum of 10% of the cross-sectional area of a solid conductor or each strand of a stranded conductor. CMP6 in-cord connector. As applied to hazardous classified locate ions. A fitting intended to terminate a core to a box or similar device and reduce the strain at points of termination, and may include an explosion-proof, a dust ignition-proof, or a flame-proof seal. CMP14 cutout box. An enclosure designed for surface mounting that has swing doors or covers secured directly to an telescope ing with the walls of the enclosure. CMP9 dead front. Without live parts exposed to a person on the operating side of the equipment. CMP9 demand factor. The ratio of the maximum demand of a system or part of a system to the total connected load of a system or the part of the system under consideration. CMP2 device. A unit of an electrical system, other than a conductor, that carries or controls electric energy as its principal function. CMP1 disconnecting means a device or group of devices or other means by which the conductors of a circuit can be disconnected from their source of supply. CMP1 dust ignition proof as applied to hazardous classified locations. Equipment enclosed in a manner that excludes dusts and does not permit arcs, sparks, or heat otherwise generated or liberated inside of the enclosure to cause ignition of exterior accumulations or atmospheric suspensions of a specified dust on or in the vicinity of the enclosure. CMP14 informational note. As the telecommunications network transitions to a more data-centric network, computers, routers, servers, and their powering equipment are becoming essential to the transmission of audio, video, and data, and are finding increasing application in communications equipment installations, optical fiber cables, data cables associated with information technology and communications equipment, Class 2, Class 3, and Type PLTC cables, and power limited fire in plenum, riser, and general purpose applications. Composite optical fiber cable. A cable containing optical alarm cables, fibers, and current-carrying electrical conductors. CMP16 CMP16 concealed, rendered inaccessible by the structure or finish of the building. CMP1 informational note. Wires in concealed raceways are considered concealed, even though they may become accessible by withdrawing them. Conductive optical fiber cable. A factory assembly of one or more optical fibers having an overall covering and containing non-current carrying conductive member S such as metallic strength member S, metallic vapor barrier S, metallic armor, or metallic sheath. CMP16 conductor, bare. A conductor having no covering or electrical insulation whatsoever. CMP6 conductor, covered. A conductor encased within material of composition or thickness that is not recognized by this code as electrical insulation. CMP6 conductor, insulated. A conductor encased within material of composition and thickness that is recognized by this code as electrical insulation. CMP6 conduit body. A separate portion of a conduit or tubing system that provides access through a removable cover S to the interior of the system at a junction of two or more sections of the system or at a terminal point of the system. Boxes such as FS and FD or larger cast or sheet metal boxes are not classified as conduit bodies. CMP9 connector, pressure solderless, a device that establishes a connection between two or more conductors, or between one or more conductors and a terminal, by means of mechanical pressure and without the use of solder. CMP1 continuous load, a load where the maximum current is expected to continue for 3 hours or more. CMP 22017 edition National Electrical Code 70-35 informational note. For further information on dust ignition proof enclosures, see ANSR or UL 1202 to 2013. Enclosures for electrical equipment, and ANSR or UL 1203 to 2013. Explosion-proof and dust-ignition-proof electrical equipment for hazardous classified locations, dustite, so the dust will not enter under specified test conditions. Informational Note No. 1. Informational Note No. 2. Duty, continuous. Operation at a substantially constant load for an indefinitely long time. CMP1 duty, intermittent. Operation for alternate intervals of 1 load and no load, or 2 load and rest, or 3 load, no load and rest. CMP1 duty, periodic. Intermittent operation in which the load conditions are regularly recurrent. CMP1 duty, short time. Operation at a substantially constant load for a short and definite specified time. CMP1 duty, varying. Operation at loads, and for intervals of time, both of which may be subject to wide variation. CMP1. Dwelling, one family. A building that consists solely of one dwelling unit. CMP1. Dwelling, to family. A building that consists solely of 2 dwelling units. CMP1. Dwelling, multifamily. A building that contains 3 or more dwelling units. CMP1 dwelling unit. A single unit, providing complete and independent living facilities for 1 or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, cooking, and sanitation. CMP2 effective ground fault current path, an intentionally constructed, low impedance electrically conductive path designed and intended to carry current and the ground fault conditions from the point of a ground fault on a wiring system to the electrical supply source, and that facilitates the operation of the overcurrent protective device or ground fault detectors. CMP5 electric power production and distribution network. Power production, distribution, and utilization equipment and facilities, such as electric utility systems that deliver electric power to the connected loads that are external to and not controlled by an interactive system. CMP13 electric sign. A fixed, stationary, or portable self-contained, electrically operated and/or electrically illuminated utilization equipment with words or symbols designed to convey information or attract attention. CMP18 electric discharge lighting. Systems of illumination utilizing fluorescent lamps, high-intensity discharge headlamps, or neon tubing. CMP18 electrical circuit protective system. A system consisting of components and materials intended for installation as protection for specific electrical wiring systems with respect to the disruption of electrical circuit integrity upon exterior fire exposure. CMP16 electronically actuated fuse. An overcurrent protective device that generally consists of a control module that provides current sensing, electronically derived time current characteristics, energy to initiate tripping, and an interrupting module that interrupts current when an overcurrent occurs. Such fuses may or may not operate in a current-limiting fashion, depending on the type of control selected. CMP10 enclosed. Surrounded by a case, housing, fence, or wall that prevents persons from accidentally contacting energized parts. CMP1 enclosure. The case or housing of apparatus, or the fence or walls surrounding an installation to prevent personnel from accidentally contacting energized parts or to protect the equipment from physical damage. CMP1 informational note. See Table 110.28 for examples of enclosure types. Energized. Electrically connected to, or is, a source of voltage. CMP1 equipment. A general term, including fittings, devices, appliances, luminaires, apparatus, machinery, and the like used as a part of or in connection with an electrical installation. CMP1.